Good morning, everybody. All the beautiful souls that are watching this today. I wore my coat out, but it's not actually cold. I just wear it out of instinct now, to be honest. Because I always assume that the city is cold. But I hope everyone is doing alright. Hope everyone's doing alright. I slept better. And, I feel full of life today. Everything's good. I was talking with my cousins yesterday, and I've always thought this was important, but I realized even more than before just how important it is to listen to your inner child. I think your inner child is probably one of the greatest teachers that you can learn from. I think this is applicable to everyone, honestly. Because I think that there's a lot of systems designed in our society that is meant to hinder us. And part of hindering us is not listening to our inner child, or even like the death of your inner child, right? People getting so caught up in their own ways that they're never able to express themselves. It's windy. The death of your inner child, though, what does that look like? Not listening to yourself, not doing the things that you truly love, or doing things that, give you fulfillment, not listening to yourself. That's a big one. That is a big one. I know that applies to a lot of people. Not listening to yourself. Whoever that, I know someone needed to hear that. I know I need to hear that. Not listening to yourself, right? Why do I think that's important? Because we need to, I think everyone needs to really take time and really look inwards, right? And part of looking inwards is visiting your inner child again. On my journey, I realized just how important it was to actually take time for myself and listen to my inner child. Because there was so many things that I've repressed, I've suppressed, that I told myself, right, since I was a child, and it's always stuck with me. And as a result, like these things that I've told myself, whether it be like different activities or different ways of thinking or different beliefs and dreams, right? All these things that I told myself, it compiled, right? And it would get suppressed into my subconscious, and I would lead my life not listening to my inner child and living a life just, in misery, right? In misery, or just, in stagnancy, right? Not doing the things that I truly love because I didn't listen to my inner child. And so, since I've been on this journey, now that I've been listening more, I realize, even on the hardest of days that I've had, no matter what obstacles come my way, I know I'll be all right. Because my inner child always knew that I was going to be more, and that things were going to be all right, regardless of what happened. How does one do that, though? How do you get to a point where you can listen to your inner child again? Because like I was saying in the beginning, there's so many systems in place to, hinder us mentally, physically, spiritually, right? I think there's a big spiritual death going on in where I am anyway. Well, I would say, I would argue in a lot of places too, there's a big spiritual death. How do you recover from that? Well, first of all, I think is taking accountability of, the things that you're doing right now that maybe you're not so proud of, or maybe things that are not really so good for you, but you do them anyways because maybe they feel good, or because you quote unquote have to, something like that, right? there's a quote in my case, right? I heard something where it was like, you already know what it is you need to do. All the answers are within you, right? And after hearing that, I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? All the answers are within me. So I started looking inwards. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing just different things, different things that I enjoy, and see how that ends up. And it led me to doing this, right? Doing this, essentially a video journal, right? And in hopes of actually reaching other people too. But going back to the last thing I said, the spiritual death, right? There's so many things in my society, especially, where it's like they're designed in a way to where you don't actually look within yourself, right? There's I think there's a stigma regarding religion amongst a lot of I'm gonna say specifically young men. Is a lack of religion, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that you find religion, but I just noticed that to be the case. People feel really lonely, right? And people don't I say people, young men especially, aren't finding really having connections, like true genuine connections with not only the opposite gender or the opposite sex, but also just people in general, which lead them to just isolate themselves, right? And I don't know who's watching this, right? Maybe it's applicable for you too, but if you find yourself feeling like genuine loss, or feeling like there's no one there for you, I'm here to tell you that's not true. There's always someone out there for you. I care about you, right? However much that might mean to you, I care, right? But I know there's other people that do care about you. It's just a matter of taking accountability for where you are right now in your life and actually making an effort to change that, Because here's the thing, right? You can acknowledge that you might be lonely, but if you don't do anything about it, if you feel like, so lost within yourself, and things are put in place to get you, right? But you don't do anything about it, then it's gonna stay that way. You need accountability plus action in order to have genuine change within yourself, right? So now going back to what I was saying, how does that look like? Listening to yourself, listening to your inner child, especially, right? Take some time and look within, where it's like, what are things that you maybe enjoyed but you didn't really pursue, or things that you always wanted to do but you never did, or never made effort to try to do that. I think that's a good starting point. Seeing how you can actually execute those things, right? Physical work too, doing things with your body, right? Moving, right? Getting out, going outside, getting some air, right? Because we are humans, right? We need to be connected to nature, which is another big thing, we being disconnected with nature, right? I think that's a good starting point, especially if you feel like you don't listen to your inner child anymore, or if you feel like your inner child is dead, right? Because it's not. It's always within you. It's just a matter of whether you want to listen to it or not. Listen to them. Listen to the person that you once were, the ideas that you once held, the dreams that you once dreamed. Anything, man. But yeah, through all my rambling, I hope something stuck. I hope something made sense. I don't know. I'm just kind of letting the words flow out. But that's okay, because that's kind of what I like. I like just talking. I like talking to myself. And I like talking with other people too. So yeah, hopefully something stuck. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my walk. It's nice out here, man. It's nice. I shouldn't have worn a coat though. It's warm. It's getting warmer now. I'm gonna need to start looking at the weather app. How you doing, sir? Doing all right. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up around here. Enjoy the rest of this walk. If you're seeing this, I love you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Make sure to take care of yourself, because the only person who could take care of you is you. And always remember, man, your inner child is the greatest teacher that you could possibly learn from. And make sure to listen to them. Have a good one.